know, it is super exciting to have the head football coach at Kansas State University. I remember when he was the secondary coach at North Dakota State. Chris Klieman joined us. It's great to see you, bud. How you been?
It's awesome. I was shocked when I got the text that you were going to be out here, and then I realized we were in Vegas, and I'm like, okay. And then you start the season with Colorado.
Yep.
So I'm really the third interview. You came out here for Prime first.
There's no doubt about that, yes.
And then Gene second, and then you just fit me in somewhere.
Your buddy Gundy we want to talk to because they're playing South Dakota State. You got to tell him.
Mike doesn't want to talk to you about that.
What are they doing, right?
You don't want to talk to Mike
And Matt Campbell's opening with North Dakota, so you got to tell these guys.
I didn't know he was opening with North Dakota.
The Missouri Valley is invading the Big 12 this year. You got to tell them what's going on here.
Well, we got Tennessee Martin.
Yeah.
But they're good. They friggin' won the OVC.
They did. They're better. They're no Missouri Valley team, as you well know. I talked with Gene about this on the show yesterday. But you look, the college athletics is unrecognizable even when you were in Fargo. That was 6 years ago. It's like you can't recognize it anymore.
It is, and it's hard to believe. I'm going into my sixth year already. But it is. It's adapt and adjust.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do all the time, and so we've been able to do that. We've got really good administration with Gene, and have had stability in our staff, stability in our locker room, and that's still, I think, helps you win. But we have probably 35, 40 new guys join our roster this year.
I know we talked after the Pop-Tarts Bowl about just the struggle of guys either going to the draft, in the portal. You told me that was like the hardest 3 weeks you've ever had, right?
It was, and I hired a director of roster management that's helped me with the NIL piece, helped me with the management part, and Clint Brown, you'd know the name. He was the DC for Stig at South Dakota State for a long time. Clint's been with us for 4 years now, does a phenomenal job with it. But I had to have something. Yeah. The other thing, and I don't even know if it's come out yet, you probably have seen it, December is now dead. Yeah. Which is unbelievable for us coaches. I can't have Connor Riley out on the road and then an old lineman come in and say, I'm leaving, and Rouse isn't around. So everybody will be home in the month of December.
You surprised that the June signing period didn't get signed off on, or is that dead, or do you think that's a chance?
Dead. I think it's dead. Well, it's dead right now for 26. I think it was such a 50-50 proposition. I think everybody saw some positives and everybody saw some negatives, and rather than we do so many knee-jerk things that have ramifications.
They do.
And so they paused on it.
I come on it from the FCS angle, as you well know this. If a guy is ready to sign in June, you were hanging on by your fingernails till, December, or originally it was February, that if you could get him signed then, boy, that would take a heck of a lot of pressure off, right?
And we've got, just like everybody else does, 15, 18 commitments that now you're kind of hanging on to December. You were going to still be able to leave if you'd have signed in June and a coach left. That was still going to happen anyway. But you're right. I mean, it makes you continue to recruit them, which you're recruiting your own team. You're recruiting guys but if somebody loses guys, where do they go? Yeah. You know as well as I do. They go to the Missouri Valley and try to find guys, at least Midwest schools.
I know how much you love polls. When you saw Kansas State pick second, what do you make of that?
I don't pay attention to it, as you well know. I don't even know where we were picked the years, 5 years.
Oh, come on
now. I don't think there was a year we didn't get picked one.
That's correct.
Sure.
Yes. Yeah. It was 2017. There we go. I know you're going to go there.
You knew you were going to let me know about it. So we did.
No, everybody at Hornbacher's let you know about it that year when you guys didn't win.
I know exactly.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's another day. Only thing that we did see, and I brought it up after our team run, is they announced the all-conference team.
Yep.
And I said, okay, guys, let's gather around. Kenny Lanou gave me the list of the guys that are on all-conference, and I'll go through them. We'll hold our applause till the end. And we were off. We left. There was nobody on the all-conference team.
That was. So I saw that too.
But I hope that tells our team, tells the stability of our program of it's not just one position or anything. We've got to be good across the board.
How much are you enjoying this? Like, do you still, when I say, and I say that, like, you were always on the field able to coach. Are you still able to do that with all the other constraints that you have?
Not as much. Thankfully, I have great staff. Not as much. When I was at NDSU, man, Klieman and I would split the safeties, or he'd give me the corners, whatever, and Ince would let me help and stuff. I get involved with special teams probably more now, which is good. But that way I get my hands on everybody. I get wide receivers and running backs. I'm excited for August 1st because then it gets back down the field. And August is a great month for me because there isn't any recruiting. There's not a whole lot going on.
Yeah.
It's just football. Then the season starts. And, the media always is having a couple of hours with you here and there during the week. So it's not as much coaching, but I'm excited because, Joe's been with me forever as an assistant. Now he's the D coordinator. Klieman's doing a phenomenal job. And Joe and I trust each other. We've been around each other a dozen years. And then the old snarly one, Riles.
I talked to him after he got promoted. Tell me about moving him up to OC.
Yeah. Well, he had earned the right. Mm-hmm. Without a doubt, he had earned the right because, I had hired Mess. Then when we came down to K-State and had to make a change, I hired Colin. And both times he wanted to be the OC. Yeah. And he and I had good conversations, always was honest with him. And then when Colin left, I knew he was ready, and I kind of said, okay, we're going to do this interim for the bowl game, and I just loved the way he handled it. And then we brought in a veteran quarterback coach in Matt Wells that Matt and I have been really good friends since the days he was at Utah State, and he almost hired me off Craig's staff.
Is that right?
Yes.
I did not know that.
2013.
Yeah.
And he calls me and says, I want you to be the DC. Going into the 2013 season.
Okay.
We had a pretty good team.
You're an awfully good team.
And I said, Wellesley, I'd love to, but two things are going to happen. One, I think we're going to go undefeated and win a national championship.
Now you tell me.
And he's like, wow, you guys think it'd be that good? I said, well, we open at K-State, and I think we're going to get them. And I said, and if this happens, I think Craig is going to have an opportunity, and I might get a chance to be a head coach. And he said, you can't come with me. We talk about it all the time.
That's amazing.
Isn't it?
That's amazing.
And so,
wow.
And then
that's amazing.
He was available. He was an analyst at Oklahoma. Unbelievable with the passing game. And I'll be honest, we need to revamp and update our passing game. And I'm excited about it. Riles is still going to be in control of running the football and things, but we have to in the Big 12 be able to spread people out and throw the football. We have a really good quarterback. This kid's really talented.
I saw him in the bowl game. He's quick. Holy cow!
Be the fastest kid on the field.
Wow.
He's faster than Easton.
Does he know that? Do you tell?
I'll tell you. Easton would know that too. But he's only a true sophomore. He's a cerebral kid, and we've got some players around him, and so I'm excited to see what we're going to do throwing.
Especially a young guy like that. It's comparable to what you had. You had Easton Stick for 4 years to quarterback your football team. In this day and age,
it's harder.
And I was talking about that with Kellis Robinette about that. Like, I don't know, Easton Stick was such a unique guy. I don't think he'd ever leave. But to have a guy of his caliber stay for 4 years, I don't think that happens anymore.
It doesn't happen. I spent a day with Carson at the Chiefs training camp in June, and he looked at me and goes, how much money would have I made in my God like this? And I said, Carson, you'd either made Fargo broke or you'd have gone somewhere else.
Right, exactly.
Because you were going to be worth as much money as you wanted to make.
Right, whatever the check you wanted, they would have written that for him. There's no doubt.
If you get a chance, talk to Siegel if he's here.
Yeah, we're going to today.
Siegel's with me, and that kid's the next NFL kid.
Wow.
Matt
Eds told me how talented he was when they got him out of Omaha a few years ago.
We had Russ Yeast that transferred from Louisville and was a starter that's playing for the Rams. Then we had a kid named Josh Hayes, which we did recruit. And then he went to Virginia, and then he came to us, and he's playing for the Bucs. This kid's better than both.
Wow. That's high praise. He's really good.
He's really good.
Bison
really
fans
smart.
got to see him for a couple of years, and he made a couple of dynamite plays in Fargo, and he was really good for you last year.
He was dynamite for us last year. And same thing, same as those other guys. They were converted corners that were playing at safety.
I got to ask you about the Taylor-Klieman connection continuing in Fargo.
How about that?
Tell me about when Devin came to you. I talked to him, so tell me. He says, Dad, there's an opportunity here at North Dakota State. What went through your mind?
What a great starting job for him. And Devin he's my son. But I've watched him. He's been with Klanderman for a few years. He's been with Steve Standard for a few years. Devin's a really good football coach. And Devin's a really smart kid. He relates well with people. He can teach. He can educate. I mean, I know I'm his father, but he will be a great fit. And I knew that if somebody would take a chance on him because he was the coach's kid, that he would have success there. And I've talked to some people in Fargo that I'm really close with that says he's doing a heck of a job.
He's got the mannerisms down. He does. When he's out there, I'm like, boy, it looks like his dad out there.
God, I don't move around as well as I used to.
And he's throwing too, like you used to. Like he's doing that during secondary drills. I'm like, that's just like his old dad. He did that all the time.
I wish I could throw again. Can't do it. But if I threw, I bet I could throw for the Mets Because
here
the
we go.
Cardinals
Well,
don't need any pitching right now because we're rolling, big dog.
Mets are hitting the ball. We can't pit. We can't get anybody out.
Oh, I
But
love
we
it
can
to
hit
see
right now.
Riles.
Yeah,
How
you
was
got
the
Riley.
weekend?
For Devin, do you see the path where he would like to eventually become a head coach? I know
Absolutely.
he told me that when
Yep.
you guys left, and I talked to him right before the championship game with Eastern Washington. He said, I want to make my own path, but I certainly want to do this.
He needs to get away from me and get away from Steve and Kleinerman and go out on his own. And I know he's with Gio and Little John, which I was so happy that Howard Carlton. That was a great hire. But get around those guys. He's developed a great network from being at North Dakota State and from being at K-State. And, he knows there's a process, but he's willing to put the work in.
Of our conversation with Chris Klieman, talking about the coaching staff changes he's had with two guys that he coached with in Fargo, in Joe Klanderman now as his defensive coordinator, and Connor Riley now his offensive coordinator. Second part of the conversation deals with Tim Polasek taking over as head coach at North Dakota State. We also dove into his son Devin being now the safeties coach for the Bison. This was extremely personal for Chris. You're going to hear him talk about the situation where Tyler got hired at Tennessee State and didn't get the Bison job, and what Tim Polasek's going to bring. And also, as I mentioned off the top, stay tuned for an all-time story about how Klieman interviewed for the Kansas State job. Here's part 2 of our interview with Kansas State head coach Chris Klieman. I know you know and love Tyler Roll and Tim Polasek well. Tell me, you're seeing that from the 10,000-foot view of how that went down in the issue.
Well, I was on the first floor of it.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
Okay, I was on the first floor talking to both of them all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that Tyler landed with Coach Campbell.
Now you're going to see him all the time. You may not be
know.
that happy about it.
Yeah, I will, because this business, relationships go way beyond this business. And so happy for Tim to have that opportunity because, Tim was so close when Matt got hired.
Yeah.
And so I knew that there was a potential, an opportunity, and then I don't know all the things that happened, but then I know Tyler left, and he and I talked about it when he went to Tennessee State. I didn't think he was going to be there at Tennessee State very long. It was really short.
Really, it was not even as long as we thought. Yeah.
But to Tyler's credit, that his name was out there as a very Tyler is as good a friggin' football coach as I've been around, and I'm excited for him to have that opportunity.
What do you think of Tim Polasek, the head football coach? What can Bison fans expect?
Man, energy. And he's going to do everything he can to bring the community and be a part of Bison football. And I don't know where the FCS is right now. You know that better than I do. All of them are leaving. It's so sad. But it's in great hands. And Matt Ince did a tremendous job. And, from Craig to myself to Matt, and Matt to Tim, it's great for Bison football because Tim bleeds it, and Matt did a phenomenal job as well.
I don't know. He might even mellowed a little bit, but the still mannerisms and the excitement, it's still there, right?
It is. And go play golf with him. He has not mellowed at all. Go play golf with him. He is not. My son's gotten that opportunity to go play. But, no, Tim will be hands-on on a lot of things, but he will learn quickly to be hands-off and let his coaches coach.
You opened your North Dakota State career with an FBS opponent in Iowa State. He's going to do that with Colorado. And it's such a different environment because it's Deion Sanders. Well, if I'm sure he's called you, what do you tell him for advice about this?
My kids called me on all this stuff because we're breaking them down just like they're breaking them down. It's going to be a big challenge, and the quarterback is legit now.
Shedeur is pretty good.
He is phenomenal. The Travis Hunter kid's a great player. They're going to have tremendous skilled kids all over the place. Did they upgrade their O-line and D-line? Because that's where NDSU typically has been and should still be strong. I don't know any of the players on NDSU anymore. But O-line and D-line, I'm assuming, are still strong. So they got to control the line of scrimmage and control the clock and try to keep that offense off the field.
Is that a game you're going to be watching, getting ready for the season?
Let's see. Is that a Thursday night?
Thursday night.
I probably got a radio show first, but then I will definitely be tuned in for that one. Mainly because I think our first or second conference game's Colorado. And we got to go to Colorado, so I'll find out the noise and all that other stuff.
I haven't asked you about this. When Matt got the opportunity at Southern Cal, did you guys chat before that? What did you tell him?
A lot. He wants to be in my job, and he wasn't having that success, even though they were having success. Part of that may be due to South Dakota State, too. I don't know, because I've known Jimmy now for a while. But I know Lincoln Riley really well, and Lincoln called me as well. I know it's a great fit, and he'll help them on defense, and I think they got a really good defensive staff now. And it was a great time. The boys are out of the house,
Yes.
and it was time for him to take a leap of faith, and he and Brenda did that, and he'll have great success. He'll be a head coach again.
Yeah, I imagine just matter of time.
1 year, 2 years, 3. I don't know. Nobody knows this. Did you think I'd be going into my 6th year here?
I think, yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
You got a lot of confidence in me.
Well, I know you, and I know you win, man. That's all you do. I mean, when the national stories start, hey, look at what Klieman's doing at Kansas State. I'm not saying that because I know you, but and you're sitting here and like, yeah, the guy does. He knows how to build a program. And you guys went and beat Oklahoma. That's why they left, right? They were done. They were done. They couldn't take it anymore.
Did Gene tell you about him flying into Wapaton and you guys not knowing about it?
I did not know
when he came to interview me. Because
can you tell that? Share that story, please.
Okay.
I know it, but go. He didn't share it on the air. Go ahead.
Well, we were talking about it on the plane. So they were interviewing people for Bill's job, for Coach Snyder's job out in New York. Well, they had one more interview, and that was with me in Fargo. And I told him, I said, I don't know if I'd fly into the FBO in Fargo. That place is staked out. They have everybody.
Kolpak and I and McFeely were ready.
They were ready for him. And so he's thinking about it. He goes, I bet I can fly into Wapaton. So you probably got to get on Dave Richmond, because then. So he flew into Wapaton. They flew into Wapaton, and I had driven home from the house, but I had to slide out the back door of the Fargo Dome because there's people in the front waiting for me to see if I was ever leaving. I slid out the back door. Nobody saw me. I know Kolpak thinks he did.
This is such a bad reporting job by us. It's so terrible.
So I drive home. They land in Wapaton. Dave Richmond's trying to find him a vehicle. There's no vehicles at the Wapaton FBO, and they found some van, a 1970s van that they drove from Wapaton up to my house. I opened up the garage door. They pulled in. We shut it. We talked for 3 hours, 4 hours, and then they drove back to Wapaton, and I drove back for practice. And people are still out there waiting, and I'm like, come on, Mike. Come on, Jeff.
Oh, my gosh. That's awesome. That is so good. That is so good.
Every day I drive. Every morning we'd come in the office at 6 o'clock, and there's cameras in front of that thing. I'm like, okay, I propped the door open on the opposite side of the Fargo Dome so I could sneak in.
Oh my gosh! Thank you for sharing that. That is an all-timer. It's also a black mark on Fargo reporting that we couldn't figure that out. Oh man! Do you remember that phone call though? And obviously it was recorded. I mean,
I didn't know it was going to be recorded.
Yeah,
that's the crazy thing.
But that you were at practice.
I was at practice.
Right? We were getting ready for South Dakota State, right?
Yeah.
Of all
just
teams.
of all
teams.
Not a big game or anything. That's one I'll never forget. I mean, that is a cool thing. And then just bringing that team up. I had told the captains
what was going on.
I told the whole team what was going on, but I told the captains on that day, hey guys, it looks like it's going to go down. And Easton and Shep, all those guys give me a big hug. They knew. And to tell that to the team and to get an ovation that, hey, we still got work to do. And I knew they were going to be in great hands.
Well, you're a smart man for another reason, because when Christian Watson was getting ready to get drafted, I found first press conference you gave when you say this guy's going to be a stud. That you remember? Tell me about that when T. Faustin came back with that scouting report.
And he was not very big. He was 155, 160 pounds, but he could run and he had a great stride and he'd go catch the football and he had great length. And I said, this kid's going to get really big. And I remember watching the first fall camp, about 4 practices. I'm like, oh, wow. We hadn't had a receiver like that around there.
No. How close were you to pulling his red shirt that year? Remember the national
really
championship? Right, he was close, right?
He got banged up so much throughout the season that we weren't able to pull his, but we had to pull Josh Hayes so he could guard that great wideout from
Stapleton.
Oh,
James Madison kid. He was really good.
We had a converted wideout in Bridges, and
you look back at that game. I think I did the count. I think there were 14 pros in that championship game between NDSU and James Madison. The 2017 game. That's unbelievable.
That
right?
was phenomenal football. Phenomenal football.
I mean, again, there's another thing that may never happen again at that level, just because they're not going to stay.
They're not going to stay. The amount of 4th, 5th, 6th-year guys,
Last couple questions here. When you look ahead to this upcoming season, knowing expectations are high, tell me how you handle that during fall camp. Has much changed for how you address things during fall camp?
No, we're just trying to improve each day, each week, find the new guys that might be able to help you. plan on playing them all. That's something that you have to do now. If
so with the 4-game rule, you have an opportunity to do that.
But you're playing more guys 5, 6, 7, 8 games now because they can help you, and your roster gets smaller and smaller. But just trying to attack each day, each week, and try to get better throughout the month of August, and not talk about expectations. I still have never done that. Don't want to.
I believe Kansas State has a bye week the same week North Dakota State is playing University of North Dakota. Is there an opportunity for the Klymans to come? I think the Taylors are coming.
Now, here and Devin will attest to this. Our youngest, Colby, if you remember the little guy, Colby, is the starting safety for Kansas Wesleyan in Salina, Kansas.
Safety, that's all you have in your family.
So every living minute that my wife has, she's in Salina, Kansas. She gets to a few K-State games, but only if after she can watch a K-Dub game. So I will be in at Kansas Wesleyan. I'll be in Salina at that game.
Gosh, I'm old.
It's fun to be a dad.
It's fantastic. My son just turned 5.
Wow.
So yes, we just got done with T-ball and all that stuff.
Awesome.
Man.
Are you coaching?
I volunteered. Yeah.
Well, they're not paying you for crying out loud.
No way. Are you kidding me? Who would ever do that, right?
For that. Ask Walthall to come back.
Yeah, he's got his feet up there. There's no way he's going to do that. It's so great to see you.
Buddy.
Thanks so much
for
doing
coming
this.
out and doing this.
Abs, and thank you for the time as always. Good luck this season. I know a ton of people in Fargo will keep an eye on what the Wildcats are going to do in 2024. Chris Klieman, Kansas State head football coach, joining us here on Hot Mic.